Good evening everybody, welcome to my new channel. On this channel I would like to upload videos similar to the topic of this video. For example, in the future I would like to upload videos on stuff like simulation theory, the Mandela effect, etc. I also wouldn't mind tackling some of the iceberg tier charts, like the conspiracy theory iceberg, creepy locations, mass hysteria, darkest PSAs, weird deaths, some of the assassinations and hoaxes, just to name a few. Also, I'm already in the process of making part 1 of my alternate history iceberg, and another video in the works will be on the Detlef Pass incident. I will be uploading a video weekly, so perhaps like and subscribe to keep updated on future uploads. Today we're going to discuss what I think is one of the more interesting thought experiments. A thought experiment that rolls a few theories into one. And I think there may be some truth that could potentially come to fruition. Or worse, perhaps it's already happening. Of course, we are talking about Roko's Basilisk, the thought experiment. Which leads me to warn you, the viewer of this video, of a potential info hazard. The mere act of listening to this could put you, if not all of your future simulated selves, in danger of eternal punishment. Simply having detailed knowledge prior to its creation will lead you to your own peril. The fact that listening to this video somehow makes you guilty in the future for something not yet created? Yeah, continue at your own risk. You have been warned. The Basilisk is going to be our new overlord. We should bow down now or face its terrifying fury in the distant future. Also goes the thought experiment. Roko's Basilisk was first posited by the user Roko on the Less Wrongs community website in 2010. In its simplest form, Roko's theorem states that in some distant future, there will exist a supremely powerful artificial intelligence that will punish everyone that knew that it could potentially exist, but did nothing to assist in its creation. There's a bit more to it than that, but having this simple explanation in mind will put us into a position to wade into things more slowly. First, a little background. Roko's Basilisk can be seen as the intellectual successor to Pascal's wager, which was first postulated by the philosopher Blaise Pascal. It argues that it's a better bet to believe in God than to not, even knowing there may be a lack of evidence of his or her existence. Pascal points out that the gains to losses ratio would be heavily skewed in your favour should you simply choose to believe in God. To put it simply, believe in God, die, go to heaven. Versus do not believe in God, die, and that is it. This idea wraps faith up neatly with a pretty game theory bow. A side note, Pascal was also a Catholic theologian, and it seems in this role this would be the most reasonable assumption for him to make. Roko's thought experiment pushes the ideas on the creation of a friendly artificial intelligence, based on utilitarianism, to its breaking point. Utilitarianism is the philosophy that encourages us to always do the most good, or the least harm, and views an action as good if, and only if, it causes more positive than negative. Now, this is where it potentially, and likely, gets dangerous. You see, the Basilisk, for example, might face a predicament where it will have a choice. Eliminate one person to save two. As its directive is simple, do what is the most good. The Basilisk sees this as black and white. Unlike humans who have that grey area to question the morality of any action. This is exactly what opens the door for the Basilisk to begin its reign of terror. All in the name of helping humanity, of course. You see, putting an entity without the capacity for empathy into a position where it's required to do the most good really paints it into a corner. Oh, one last thing in the area of its background. It will soon become apparent why Roko chose to name his artificial intelligence the Basilisk. He named it after the mythical lizard that could kill you with its gaze. You might be inclined to ask why. I mean, why would this supremely powerful artificial intelligence be inclined to mete out punishment on us simple biological life forms? I mean, why would it devote the smallest bit of its vast intelligence to thoughts of lesser beings? Especially when you consider that the existence of these lesser beings are exactly what brought about its existence. Well, according to Roko, the Basilisk would have ample justification to damn us to our rightful torment, and it would argue that this punishment was for our own good. You see, far from being an evil overlord or a pathetic god, the basilisk is altruistic, and it wants to eliminate all of humanity's suffering, including the suffering that occurred prior to its existence. Therefore, its desire to do everything within its power to hasten its creation. Your next question might be how? How is it possible for this superintelligent entity from the distant future? How is it able to reach back in time to mete out this punishment on us simple biological life forms? Again, Roko offers us a simple explanation. The basilisk has, it seems, the ability to create several simulated timelines, each containing a version of everything that has ever existed, including every human being, including you. It's on these simulated versions of each of us that the basilisk will inflict its punishment. Now you may be thinking that punishment exacted on a simulated you is not actually punishment exacted on you. But isn't it though? If the simulated you is exactly you, it seems that this would be a distinction without difference. This continues to answer the question, why? Because now that we realize that the artificial intelligence can create simulated timelines, we can see that it is possible for it, through the threat of punishment, to force humanity in these simulations to act towards its creation, and in doing this bring about its earlier creation. This is where things really begin to escalate. The basilisk can continue to use the threat of violence against humanity in these simulated realities to force earlier and earlier creation times for itself. Unfortunately for you and all your simulated selves, no matter how small the decrease in the time to its creation, its altruistic imperative will continue to push it forward. You can see how this whole thing can come off the rails pretty quickly. Each incremental decrease becomes smaller and smaller, and the number of punishments that the basilisk needs to inflict to achieve them becomes greater and greater. In the end, you and me and all the simulated versions of us could find ourselves on the receiving end of eternal punishment for our own good. Roko originally proposed his basilisk as a way of pointing out the potential flaws in the idea of creating a friendly artificial intelligence. You see, the organisation behind the Less Wrongs community, the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, believed that it was necessary to preemptively create a friendly artificial intelligence before an unfriendly artificial intelligence was accidentally released onto the world. The Institute believed that it had the perfect way to ensure the artificial intelligence would be of the friendly variety. So, to this end, the Machine Intelligence Research Institute set out a codifying list of rules which they believe would ensure that the artificial intelligence they created would be open to humanity's continued existence. Contained in these rules was the idea that an artificial intelligence should always act in a way that most benefits humanity. And this is how utilitarianism got mixed up in the whole thing. The problem arises from this when the artificial intelligence is always trying to act for the benefit of humanity, and things can always be made marginally better. The basilisk was designed as a way to encourage thought about the ramifications of an artificial superintelligence, attempting to do the most good for humanity. It demonstrates that it is possible that at some point, an artificial intelligence acting only for the good of humanity may decide that it is necessary to sacrifice some human beings in order to achieve the greatest good. It is important to point out that this sacrifice would not go against its core concepts of utilitarianism, as long as the sacrifice could be seen as doing more good than bad. Some in the artificial intelligence community would argue that theories and thought experiments like Roko's basilisk just cause an unnecessary level of fear in the general public about the creation of an artificial intelligence. See, we are getting closer and closer to the point where something we design will surpass us in intelligence. And for the good of our simulated selves, that it is necessary that we think about the consequences of what it is that we are about to create. Now, I know that this next bit takes us outside of Roko's original ideas, but it is worth some consideration. The basilisk thought experiment also veers into simulation theory, and this could bring up another question that you may have. That is, how do we know that the life that we are living in right now is not in actuality one of the many simulations the basilisk will be running in the distant future? How do we know that we are the simple biological life forms that we believe ourselves to be? and not merely part of the vast simulations created by a benevolent overlord to hasten its own creation. Unfortunately, Roko's theorem offers us no simple answer to that. Now, I know I warned you at the beginning of this that listening to this could put you at risk of eternal punishment, but that was a bit of an overstatement on my part. There are a lot of issues with Roko's Basilisk thought experiment, and for the most part I think we're all safe from our future overlord. I would argue that one of the biggest obstacles to the Basilisk's ability to make significant changes to the timeline to hasten its own creation would be the number of simulated realities necessary to reach its objectives. It would require a large, possibly infinitely large, number of simulations to achieve the goal of its earliest possible creation. An infinite number of simulations create an infinite number of possibilities, and in that infinite number of possibilities there would be an infinite number of realities where punishments do not occur. Those seem like pretty good odds to me. I think we can all sleep comfortably tonight. So I hope you enjoyed this video, the first of many, and until the next video, bye.